Hey guys, this is Chris with Rekkid Talk, doing another rant. So last time I talked about the 10 most important records for your Rekkid collection. Got, by my standards, a lot of views. I got a few haters. I think you guys are hating me because I was probably intimidating you with some of the unobtainium records, like some of that really underground punk, Green Day Dookie, or just that expensive, out-of-reach, fancy jazz, your Pete Fountain, your late 70s Stanley Turrentine. So I'll go a different route today. We'll talk about the kind of records that you shouldn't be collecting. So I'm going to show you some mistakes that I have in my collection. This is not the kind of stuff you want to have in your collection. So there's going to be 5 categories. First category is stuff by nobodies. So for example, when you were younger, you went to a show, you liked the opening band, you liked the local act, you went to the merch table, you still have that stuff after all these years. Nobody wants it, nobody's heard of these people, you don't want this. So here's an example. Big Hunk of Cheese. So this is a group from like the Bowling Green, Ohio area in the early 90s. A bit red hot chili pepperish sounding. It was on Jack Records, so like cheese. They had a song called Jerry Garcia. It was pretty cool, but you don't want this. Janitor Joe, I saw a show of theirs. This was before Kristen Pfaff joined Hole, and then she, of course, unfortunately passed away. That's probably the most famous thing about Janitor Joe. Maybe more recently, you discovered bands on Bandcamp. I made a video several months ago about Nuantes. I think this CD was like an edition of like 50 or 75. I think 3 or 4 of you watched my video on this. So nobody cares about your obscure groups. And then here's just the epitome. Look, Spurge. So this was a band from Billings, Montana. It's on a cassette tape. Look how cheaply this was made. Look at this. Look at this. This is just awful. It's got this purple cow on it. It's on, who knows what label it's on. You don't even, and like, oh. Yeah, look at the inside here. They're hand-scrawled lyrics. I mean, it's on Bingo Lady Records. Do it yourself. I mean, look this up on Discogs. This is going to be completely valueless. So, I'll get the focus going. So, Spurge released 1992 cassette. Bingo Lady Records. It was never released on any physical format besides cassette. There's no CD. There's no reissued album with a fancy purple splatter. Sales history. You can't see it. There is one for sale. And how much is it selling for? If we can ever... Maybe if I turn my lamp off for a second, you'll be able to see that a little bit better. Somebody is trying to sell this cassette for $133.99. It's Pineapple. I'm not Pineapple. Theirs is near mint. Mine, you saw, is a little beat up. Mine's definitely not near mint. I actually love this cassette. I listened to it a lot back in the day. There was a point where it was reissued on iTunes, so I downloaded it as well. It may still be available there. We'll come back in a second with some other kinds of records you shouldn't collect. Okay, so the second type of record that you should avoid collecting, and this is especially true if you're Generation X or a baby boomer, is don't be collecting stuff made by artists young enough to be your kid or your grandkid. So no music by Millennials. So, for example, Phoebe Bridgers. Here's Stranger in the Alps. She also has Punisher. You definitely don't want this. Tyler Childers, kind of a country music artist. He's only about 30. He's a millennial. You definitely don't want any of this. And you really, really don't want any of this. Biba Doobie, Space Cadet. You really don't want any of this millennial music. And it turns out she's not even a millennial. She's a Generation Z. You really, really, really don't want any music made by these millennial children. You want to stick with music from people your age or older. So, next type, we will be talking about people who are, in my case, my age. Alright, so the third type of music that you should not be collecting, okay, we established you're not listening to the millennials music, the Generation Z music. So if you're a Gen X person like me, it's perfectly okay to stick with people your age or a bit older, but you want to stay with their classic albums they made in the 80s and the 90s. And better yet, you really just want to stick to a couple of songs. You can listen to Sirius XM. They'll play the one or two songs that are really, really awesome by that artist. You should just listen to those songs over and over. You definitely shouldn't listen to their entire albums, and you really shouldn't hunt out any of their new material. So, for example, if you like the band X, you should not go find Alphabet Land, which they released in 2020. Shouldn't do that. Mudhoney, Digital Garbage. I think this was like 2018. This was their most recent new album. No, Mudhoney, you want to stick with Touch Me, I'm Sick. You want to pretend like it's 1990 for the rest of your life. Local H, you want it to be copacetic. You don't want Lifers. You don't want Hey Killer. You don't want 21st Century Local H. Dinosaur Jr. Again, these old guys keep making new albums. Lou Barlow makes his solo albums. He makes his Sebado albums. They just keep making albums. You don't really want any of them. Tanya Donnelly, she's still making albums. I mean, really, all these female 90s singer-songwriters like Tanya Donnelly and Liz Phair, and the other one I talk about a lot, you don't really want any of their new music either. And if you like Deep Purple, you shouldn't buy anything more recent than Perfect Strangers. And maybe you really should just really stick to listening to Smoke on the Water over and over again, because that's a great song. And just listen to that same song over and over and over again. So that's the third type of music that you should be avoiding. Fourth type of records you should not be collecting: stuff from non-Western countries. So if you're an American, you're a Canadian, you're a Western European, you really need to stick to that part of the world. Stuff that's going to be, lyrics are going to be in English, so American Canada's fine, UK is fine, Western Europe is mostly fine because they'll mostly sing in English, and even if it's Rammstein and they sing in German, that's probably still okay. And Australians will sing in English, so that's okay. Now, you don't really want any French records because they're going to speak in French, but you would tune in the Stunty if you wanted French records anyway. So here's this kind of stuff you really, really should not be getting. It's part of your collection. So here's the band Amanaz with their album Africa. So this is some of that 1970s Zam rock. You really, really should be avoiding this. This is not very good at all. Low quality. It sounds like garage. It sounds like psych with like an African twist to it. I can't see how that would sound appealing to anybody at all. What else? 70s music from Turkey. So this is like R&B and funk and psych mixed together. This is all instrumental, so you don't have to deal with Turkish lyrics, but it's still weird. Mustafa Özkent, and I can't even pronounce this. I don't know what the little curly Q on the C. I don't know how I'm supposed to pronounce it. So you would never want such an album. Compilations like this, The Soul of Black Peru. Afro-Peruvian classics. So this is going to collect a bunch of musicians from a culture that you're probably not familiar with, and really it's going to be a big waste of time to listen to these sorts of things. Stick to what you know, stick to your comfort food, and definitely a huge mistake you're going to make if you listen to modern African music is, so this guy Mdu Mokhtar, it's a, some people will tell you that he's like a modern day guitar hero. You know, guitar heroes you want to stick with, like Yngwie Malmsteen, Ritchie Blackmore. Those are your guitar heroes. You don't need this guy from the African country of Niger playing really, really awesome guitar. You don't really need this, though. But some people will buy these sorts of records. Then we'll do one more kind of music that you should be avoiding. Okay, the fifth and most important kind of record you do not want to collect. This is definitely something to definitely avoid. And the first two I'm going to show is going to kind of also coincide with number 3. Buying stuff by artists your age after they're washed up and over the hill, are stuff with political content in it. Stick away from your heroes saying political things. Bob Mould, he was in Husker Du. He released this album called Black Hearts. There's a song called American Crisis. There's a song called Racing to the End. I mean, really? Bob, stay in your lane. Make happy music. Don't depress me with stuff like this. And then there's this Bostonian singer-songwriter. Sounded like she woke up on the wrong side of the bed one day in late 2016. She wrote these songs called things like When You're a Star, Short-Fingered Man, Touch You Again. It's almost like she was angry with like rich, powerful men who abuse others with their power, rhinoceros, and so you really, really want to stay away from this sort of music. You want to stick to when they were making fun of her on Beavis and Butthead. Not this political stuff that she came up with at all. You don't want to do that. Even though a lot of the songs are really great, but you still want to stay away from this. Billy Bragg, English commie. What more do I need to say? And then, here's a real disappointment. So, back in the day, you got this great hardcore punk, Green Day Dookie, talk about cool things like masturbating. Then, American Idiot. So it's like a concept album. And if they were going to make a concept album, they should have made a concept album about jerking off. So, okay, we don't need Green Day anymore. What you really want is a band that stays in their lane, avoids politics, makes just cool music that whether you're 15 or whether you're 50, you can pump your fist and go, yeah! All of us, whether we're Paul Ryan or Rekkid Talk Chris, we can go, yeah! So, Rage Against the Machine. This is really the kind of band you should be sticking with through the years. Like this Evil Empire album. See, look, you got this young man, this all-American young man. He's in a superhero costume. E stands for probably what? Excellence, everyman. And so this is really the kind of non-political music you want to stick with. Rage Against the Machine. No Billy Bragg. No what's her name. No Bob Mould. No Green Day. Stick with Rage Against the Machine.